we're talking about
a patient
movement.
Yeah.
The patient. So just before we were just talking about the movement of qi,
Yeah.
and how it correlates with the breath, and how usually you get an upward movement with the inhale and then a descending movement with the exhale. This happened because of the function of all of the muscle that needs to engage to create breath. First, we have the diaphragm that actually goes down, that creates an extra pressure in the lower abdomen. So it increases the pressure while creating a vacuum in the chest. So that pressure vacuum creates a suction. The rest of the rib cage also expand, creating more vacuum above, and then the placement of the collarbone, the last two ribs for the upper respiratory, the upper part of the lung also open, which with this connect to the opening of the cranium bone, which what I was saying just earlier, how breathing and the craniosacral rhythm are the primary respiratory movement. That's how they call it in osteopathy, link together for the physical breath and that movement through the bone marrow, the movement of the Jing from a Chinese medicine perspective. So when we have all of this happening together, it creates more pressure below, and there's two vacuum consecutively that go, which helps all of the fluid go up. The blood goes up to the heart first and start to connect with the lungs. So with every beat, there's oxygenated blood that goes here, and the first oxygenated blood actually goes up into the brain, because that's when also the brain is opening, pulling the cerebrospinal fluid up as well as the blood to nourish. And then when we exhale, the rest go down. So there's still quite a lot of oxygenated blood that circulates down, because everything is being then pressurized above and it releases below, so that the compression expansion then changes. So we have this double pump working together with each breath, where when I inhale, I create pressure below and expand above. And when I exhale, I create pressure above much more softly, but just naturally with releasing, and then the expansion below, so that the organs receive the rest of that blood, and then it circulates through the rest of the body.
So to breathe into kidney one, so we inhale up.
We inhale up.
The back, the spine, the danshan, like how we learned in our classes. And then down, and we open up.
So depending on what we're looking at. When we're talking about the work for the foot soak, we just focus on the lower body, especially since for that patient it's a lower jiao issue, and the issues are in the leg. We just want to work on that lower body to the feet. So inhale, upper part of that section is in the abdomen, lower is in the feet. So back and forth between inhale in the abdomen, exhale into the feet.
Okay, got it. That activates the whole kidney channel.
And again, if you want to have that focus even more precisely on the kidney system itself, then you would inhale not just into lower dantian, but focus more around migmen, and then exhale kidney one, and just do that back and forth a little more precise, especially if he has, lower back pain issue and lumbar and things like that. So it will help to focus at it. If he's already used to do some level of breathing, and he has some meditative practice, you can become a little bit more precise as you kind of play with that. So on the inhale, before I go into that, we never want to try to overly focus on one channel. So the idea is not to try to follow just the kidney channel specifically, because we want to let the body adjust itself based on what it needs. The notion of the yi leads the qi is a warning on the label. It's not the how to. You don't want to overly focus, because if you do overly focus, this is the only thing that's happening. Wherever your intent goes, the more focused your intent is, the more focused the qi will be, which will leave everything else mostly empty. So we want to keep a much broader perspective, and especially in the case of the yin channel of the legs, they're all mostly at the same spot, so we don't you
will involve
just let
all
everything.
of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And the body will naturally regulate how much go in which channel at which moment of the day, depending on when you do your thing.
Okay.
If we do, so kidney channel, usually 5 to 7 p.m. is when the channel should be at its fullest. So if you do an early morning breath, when the kidney channel should be at its lowest, and you start to pour all of your intent into your kidney channels, it's really the good timing to do that. So you want to keep that much softer perspective so that the circulation can be more balanced. Okay. And allow the body to regulate, because the back of our mind is always regulating all of those processes. Our thinking and emotional mind is the one that screwed them up, usually. Mm-hmm. So if we're able to go into a quiet space, give a general direction, but have the higher level of the Shen observing what's going on, letting things settle down and function softly, then we don't need to be overly precise. Mm-hmm. That being said, if for a therapeutic necessity we want things to be a little bit more precise, then we can add some level of precision through our path. So going from kidney 1 to Hui Yin, for example, we want that notion of nourish all of the yin, and then we know that the kidney channel, as it goes into the abdomen, has a path that go up the spine, up to Migmen, so we can have this inhale through, reach through Hui Yin, up the spine to Migmen, and then on the exhale have it kind of split through the back, which will connect with all of the yang channel through the Daimai, one, and then from the center also back down to Hui Yin and reconnecting to kidney 1. So you can add a certain level of just being a bit more attentive to specific structure to see how the chi is moving there without trying to be too tight and trying to say, oh, this is where things needs to go.
Yeah, because that involves the belt meridian, right? The gallbladder, which is prefrontal cortex, right? Or, it's the kidney and spleen, but amygdala, and he's got a lot of trauma. Yeah. Wow, so just from that.
Yeah, and working on the gallbladder will help with the liver and the wind symptoms and all of it too. So there's the Daimai is a good one to play with and without necessarily focusing on that.
Just by the inhalation, just by the movement of the breath. We're working on that. It's incredible. Okay. Who needs an osteopath?
No, part of the knowledge.
It's because it's such an important part of Chinese medicine.
It is.
And because I've been doing acupuncture on him for a long time, and we treat different things, and he lost a lot of weight, then he put it all back on, so the dampness came back, and then everything just intensified. So this is incredible. So the foot soaks definitely.
So doing that breathing exercise with the foot soak will be kind of an added benefit, which, especially at first, if he's still a bit not stimulated enough to do the foot soak at home, but he's used already to do some breathing exercise, and you do the same breathing exercise with and without the foot soak, he'll notice the difference. And that will become motivation also to say, oh, well, when I do it with the foot soak, I do feel it faster, I feel things differently. As the channel will open up better and better with the support of the herb and the breath together, while he's doing the foot soak, then the sensation of warming up the kidney, the feeling of the warm filling of the body will start to work better. So it'll be kind of, I don't quite get the same thing if I just do the breath. So let me start to do both because it feels a lot better.
Okay. And this process, because I've had a lot of new patients recently with all back issues, with all overthinking. So this basically works for across the board for all of them.
It's a very wide spectrum exercise. Extremely effective, especially when people have too much chi in the head and cold feet, which is usually the sign of rebellious chi staying up in the head and the yang channel not being able to bring the yang back down. Hence feet getting cold because there's not enough heat traveling and being redispersed. So anyone with
Yes.
Excess high blood pressure, excellent exercise. Any kind of pathology that brings the qi up and the descending quality of the qi is not there, this is one of the best exercise and simpler. Insomnia, especially people who have difficulty falling asleep because their feet are cold. Physiologically, you won't fall asleep if your feet are cold.
Right.
You need to warm them up,
bring
it down. And so by doing that, also with those, the typical yin and yang deficiency combination, my feet are cold, I don't fall asleep, takes me an hour or two, then I end up falling asleep, and then I'm too hot and I'm sweaty. That will help to regulate both the yin and yang channel through the legs and the lower dantian and lower jiao, kind of getting that support for the kidneys so that their feet warms up faster, they can fall asleep faster, therefore they get more yin quality, then they don't get so much yin deficiency symptom at night.
So with the sweating, because the foot soaks, you do sweat, hopefully. I've had people with kind of restless leg syndrome, which is a little bit of wind. I'm just thinking of the patient wind.
Yeah.
Senjao pericardium kind of disorder.
Yeah. So some of the herbs in the foot soak are regulating the nervous system, so will help the quietness. It will help nourish because it's primarily a blood mover.
Okay.
But there's some nourishing quality to some of the herbs in it, also for the blood.
Okay.
So the quality of the blood will get better. They'll have less of that wind symptom, and because it opens the surface and creates an outward quality of movement of qi and exiting movement of qi, then the wind that is trapped will start to be pushed towards the surface and be released, while the yin of the blood will start to be improved and regulated. The foot soak are an amazing tool.
I'll be using it. I never thought of using it in the clinic. But I will with the breath work that you just taught me. Now, should I put any needles in, or should I put, or just let's focus on these two very strong treatments for the half an hour?
So there's different options. I would say probably don't put needles at the same time as the foot soak, unless you want to target the movement of qi of the foot soak very specifically. So in the case of somebody who has a lot of wind, if they're sitting, they're relaxing, you can easily throw in gallbladder 20 to get the surface to release some more wind, especially if they have a bit more above, because the foot soaks start from the feet, and until it may take them a few sessions until they start to really feel things going up. So especially for a new patient, throwing in maybe a few needles above to kind of say, hey, get that effect up faster will be beneficial. You won't really be able to get the legs because usually you want to have kind of a cover or something on their legs and their skin exposed so that the volatile oils in the steam kind of stick to the leg and the body is able to absorb it. But on the upper body, if they're in a relaxed position they don't need, you could always do some upper body needling in that seated position. The breathing is the easiest one. It doesn't, they don't feel like they're unable to move, which may be an issue for some patient because they're not used to being needled on seated position.
Yes, they're not.
So that's another aspect. If you want to do deep breathing, then of course avoid any needle on the body because then the torso will be moving a bit more with the breath. Arms, I would say if you do that, just do kind of extremity 5 shoe points kind of thing. If that fits, of course, with the pattern, maybe some on the head. If somebody has a lot of issue on the face, you could always do, not issue on the face, but sinuses issue. You can always give them a little something to help open it a little bit more so that they can more easily do the breathing, and you don't have to leave the needle in. You just use it, stimulate it until it opens. As soon as it opens, you take the needle out. It's just a minute or two, and that's it. You don't need to retain the needle.
Great
so
for
much.
Sinus, for coming into the fall. That would be such a treatment because for allergies and sinuses. So how would the foot soaks? Okay, so allergies is just the Wei Qi, right? I mean, and liver. So I guess by moving the Qi, moving the blood, plus the breath work and 2 needles, that basically, takes care of the Wei Qi.
They'll take care of a lot of it.
Now, for that, how would we breathe? How do we breathe? So then we would do different as opposed to like this one patient. We would focus more on the upper, like the head.
So if you have something in the head and there's kind of more stagnation, allergy, sinus issue, humming is the preferred tool, because humming helps to stimulate by vibrating the tissue inside the sinus to produce more nitric oxide. That's some scientific Western data that humming helps stimulate production of nitric oxide within the sinus cavities. So in this case, you still want to have that kind of deep inhale to get the descending quality of the lungs and harmonize lung and kidney, because the kidney are the one who focus on the inhale to pull the chi down. And then the nasal humming, so that the patient can feel the vibration in their face. If we want more of a soft tissue vibration, the teeth should be separated, so there's a little bit of space, and you just keep the lips together so that the sound vibrate the lips, and then you start to get that vibration spreading through the soft tissue. If you need something that's a little bit more kidney oriented, you need more of the bones to vibrate, then you get your teeth to very lightly touch, so that the humming vibrate through the teeth into the jaw and the skull, so that the whole bones start to vibrate. And the sound will be a little bit different. So if I do just the lips and the soft tissue, and so I feel that kind of tissue vibration, skin, fascia, all of it vibrating. If I need the bone, the sound will come out a little bit different. Not that much, I'm not changing the pitch. And so the vibration is a lot deeper. It's not so much on the surface. And you can feel that, I don't know if it's audible outside, but there's that little kind of vibration of the teeth clicking together at a very high oscillation, but very softly, that creates that vibration going through the bone. And the feeling is not so much on the flesh, on the surface, but really kind of gets deeper inside.
And that's good for eyes, like the
bones, so the marrow, the kidney realm, all of it kind of internally.
Wow, that felt really almost like the second one. I could feel very grounded. It felt very earthy, to put it in.
We get more into that.
Incredible.
The solidity of the bone, the more yin quality associated with the kidney, the marrow, and all of it, which will then have that stronger vibration into the brain as well, because then you have the whole of the cranium that's vibrating, versus if I stay with more of the flesh, it's more surface and doesn't necessarily reach as much into the brain.
So would that be good for anxiety? Because honestly, I felt just wow.
So sound and vibration have usually more of a dispersing quality, which in this case, if the anxiety is very much of an excess, then that will be good. Generally speaking, anxiety, especially if people feel it more in the chest, sighing is the preferred tool. Because rather than having something that stay and vibrate up, you get more of a, which is the natural way people, you get home, you sit down, you just, that shit's over.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the kind of approach that the body naturally tells us, so that downward relaxing quality, using sound for that.
The one you just did with the bones, to me that it just moves that space. Like it just moves the block up here that we just, I don't know, it just feels like it can shift and then we can let it go.
Yes. So sometimes if there's too much stock, trying to bring it down won't necessarily work. You need to shake it out just a little bit, and once it's loose, then it's dropping more easily. So it's always a question, what's the element? What's the movement? What's the four movements of Qi? Is the qi just really too up? Is it too much entering, so we need it to shake outward and exit? Or is it just too up and we need it to descend? Is it too low and we need it to rise? What is it that we need to do? And once you understand that, we can do the exercise that moves the qi in that direction to support what the patient needs.
Right. Because I'm finding because I have a lot of male patients, and they all have back pain, and they all think a lot, and so I feel like a lot, and they all seem to say that they have anxiety. I don't know. They're medically diagnosed.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it's correct, but so I think they're all stuck here, right? And so that breath or the bones, and they all have kidney and back pain, which is interesting with the kidney. So
you have the heart and kidney axis in the center. So if all the qi is stuck up to the heart and the mind, because the mind is overly active, then the descending quality of the heart downward towards the kidney is not there anymore. The fire doesn't go below to warm up the water.
Yeah.
So we need that descending quality to go back to the kidney to support. Otherwise, the kidney is too weak and doesn't have its controlling impact on the heart either. So the fire goes up and up because everything becomes a little too dry and doesn't have that mitigating quality of the water to make sure that the rate at which the fire is burning is adequate. If you burn wood that's way too dry, it's going to make a really big flame, but it's going to die very quickly. If the wood is too wet, it's just not going to burn, or it's going to make a lot of smoke and really never going to reach the point for fire. So we need that balance between fire and water to work properly. That's why also a lot of businessmen who thinks a lot end up having heart issue, which go with high blood pressure as well, because everything is going up. They're always stuck up there, so they need that descending quality. Again, with the first breathing exercise, we're thinking, focus on lower, connect the feet, feel the connection with the ground. Thanks for watching. Leave your question or comments in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to learn more about Taiji Qigong Shibashi, visit my website, qigong18.com, for more information on online classes and private classes, just like the one you just watched. Have a good day.